joins us now. And like I said, Stan, I feel guilty. Dave Hunziker gave me he suggested call my man Stan, and and I find out you're on vacation and buying a house and doing all that kind of stuff. So I hate to do this, but I need some ACC wisdom. What are your thoughts on what the conference did?
Hey man, I've been on furlough for 3 months, so I'm now back full time. So I'll do anything as long as it falls into the category of work and they can pay me. So I'm glad to help you out a little bit. I talked to Coach Clausen, Wake's head football coach, about 36 hours ago, and he's as honest as the day is long. He said, "Stan, I have no clue what we're doing," and then all of a sudden, this big announcement comes out about the ACC, which was, I think, fantastic news. And I'm not sure the presidents and the athletic directors, pardon me, could have done any better. The 10+1 kind of scenario gives you 10 league games, and I know you guys were talking about the non-league game when you hooked up with me, but just a lot of regional matchups and I just can't imagine that at least what they have on paper looking forward could be any better. I honestly don't. And, you sprinkle in the Notre Dame factor, and, I think a lot of ACC fans maybe don't like the part about, well, Notre Dame's got a chance to play for the ACC championship, even though it's not an ACC member football team. But I read a great piece by a great writer here in this area, David Teal, talking about Notre Dame helps the ACC. The ACC helps Notre Dame in this scenario. I mean, the ACC is getting part of that NBC television money from the Irish. So
Sure.
I just think, given this whole issue and what we're dealing with for a season, it couldn't be more perfect. Now, long-term scenario, if Notre Dame wants to play for the ACC title, they need to join a dadgum league as a football team. But
Yeah.
for this 2020, I think it's just absolutely as good as they could have done.
Let me ask you this, and I know you guys have Notre Dame scheduled, and it says in Charlotte. Do you think they'll stick with that?
I can promise you that Wake Forest won. It's going to be played at Bank of America Stadium, where the Panthers play. Certainly, you know what? Let me back that up a little bit. It depends on fans. It depends on what that part of the equation is, because you go to that stadium and it's at least twice the size of Wake's in Winston-Salem. So there's the
Right.
potential, at least, for more bodies in there to watch the game, and that's good for a lot of reasons. But if there are no fans whatsoever, obviously you'd rather play in Winston-Salem, where you think you have more of a home field advantage. So I think, and all the push this summer has been for, hey, let's get ready to play Notre Dame and Charlotte. So I think probably that just goes forward, and that's where the Deeks and the Irish play that game. And Charlotte's a great hub for Wake. I mean, outside of Winston-Salem, I think I'm correct in saying that more Wake alums and friends of the university are in that Charlotte metropolitan area, which in your car is about an hour and 15 minutes, hour and a half at the most from Winston-Salem. So it's not far at all. And so it's a great hub for Wake alums, and it'll be a good deal, good site.
Not only that, but I mean, you play that in Charlotte, and then the revised schedule has you playing all of your Tobacco Road crew on the
Yeah.
road, which is a driving trip for you guys. It's like when we go play Bedlam in Norman against OU.
Yeah.
You're not going to get on a plane for that. The athletic director has to be happy because he's going to save money on air charters. He's not going to have that many.
Absolutely. I mean, it's to Chapel Hill, it's an hour and 15 minutes. Raleigh's an hour and a half to NC State. Duke's about the same trip as going to Chapel Hill. I mean, they're 8 miles apart. So, yeah, that is, you know what? I'm not sure that the football team would do it, but I bet they think about it. Why not go day of the game?
Yeah.
Why not?
I would.
Why, instead of, going somewhere on a Friday night, spending the night, going through all the rigmarole, all the money you spend on hotels and food and all that kind of stuff. Get the guys in their, pants, put them on the bus, drive hour and 15, hour and a half, get there, 3 hours early, get them out. I mean, they all played high school football. It's not,
Sure.
I don't think that'd be that big of a deal. And you talking about saving some money?
Yeah.
I think that's something that if I were the AD, and thank goodness for Wake fans, I'll never be the AD, but I would at least, throw that against the wall and take a look at it, a long, hard look at it, and see if that might be something that they could do.
Yeah, and you said the key thing, leaving early. I know this. I mean, early on in his head coaching career, Mike Gundy uh, came up with the idea that because in the Big 12, sometimes you stay an hour away. You used to do that with Texas A&M and Waco. There's no hotel in Waco other than one, and Baylor stays in that. So you have to stay in Temple, places like that. And Mike Gundy discovered that, hey, the team doesn't respond real well to a bus trip right before kickoff. So when they do have to bus, they go very early and they almost go out and have a light workout and then go back in
Yeah,
the locker room just so the guys are wide awake and nobody is sleepy from the bus trip. But yeah, I think you got a great idea there. Um, Let me ask you this: the thing we're hearing, the SEC is going to come out with their deal today, and they're either going to be, they're adamant they're not going to play more than 8 conference games. They don't even want to set that precedent. So they're going to play 8 conference games plus one, or just 8 conference games and be a bad guy. Um, the Big 12, I got from really good sources, they're going to play 9 conference games, or they're going to play a 9 plus 1. And I've even heard talk that for the schools that don't have, which Oklahoma State's in that position, I guess Wake would be in that position, don't have that marquee rivalry out of conference game, like, South Carolina and Clemson and Florida
right.
State, Florida, those, that the Big 12, SEC, and ACC would all kind of get together and schedule kind of, amongst the conferences for that plus one. So, your thoughts on that? Because you have that game. Appalachian State would fit the new ACC rules. It would be your plus one, and it's played within your state confines.
Yeah, and the Appalachian game is, Appalachian uh, would, and again, without knowing what the deal is with fans, that's a game that would fill Wake's stadium. That's a game without question that fills Appalachian Stadium. Now,
Right.
that aside, if there are going to be no fans, I'm not sure if you're Wake, you want to play Appalachian State. You know,
Yeah.
you might want to think about trying to play somebody else that is not going to give you the kind of game that Appalachian would, because those suckers are good now. I don't care, and they're real good when they're playing their ACC brethren right down the road. So they're well coached. They've got great athletes. So so many moving parts to all this stuff. You just but I think the App State Wake game is one that this region, or the region there in the Triad area, North Carolina, would most like to see, rather than Wake. And not to pick on anybody, but Wake and Villanova, or Wake and Oldham, nothing wrong with those schools, obviously. But the
Yeah.
point is, there's no history there. All kinds of folks live in Winston-Salem send their kids to Appalachian. A lot of Appalachian, vice versa. So there's all that kind of crossover and fan interest and regional interest, all that kind of stuff. So that's a perfect plus one scenario for Wake. Problem is, you're playing a football team and a football program that year in and year out is really, really, really good. And so that's an issue that the coaches might want to think about, playing somebody else. But with regard to maybe, crossing over into another league, those are always great games for fans, right? But you try to look at it from 30,000 feet as an AD or a football coach, and you want to try to win as many games as you can. And right now, at least, that's easier if you're Dabo Sweeney compared to Dave Clawson. It's just a different animal right now. Nobody in the ACC is Clemson right now, and so you want to try to look at it and give your program the best chance at success, right? And so that'll factor in as well.
Stan Cotten, the play-by-play voice for Wake Forest, and I am not going to let this man go without asking him a football question. Okay?
Okay.
In
All
case
right.
somebody was wondering if we were just going to talk pandemic and conference politics and scheduling, no. Tremendous year last year. I know the game uh, that I saw. I know I saw it all, and it was a tremendous game to watch. Was your home game and win over Mac Brown in North Carolina? I remember watching that. I can see that in my head as we talk right now. And you guys, a tremendous quarterback in Jamie Newman. I know he's left to go somewhere else. In fact, it would only be appropriate maybe if you guys in Georgia could get together this year.
That'd be good.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think there'd be some motivated guys in black and gold. Um, but anyway, no, ask you. Sam Hartman steps in at quarterback, and you mentioned your coach Dave Clawson. He may be one of the best coaches out there that's just not on the tip of it. His name's not on the tip of everybody's tongue. He's done a tremendous job. So, just kind of a broad base, Stan. How you feeling about the Demon Deacon season this year? I would think pretty good. It looks like you got a lot of guys back and you got a winning attitude.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing you look at, as most folks do, is that quarterback position. And if you're not all that familiar with Wake, and you look, oh my gosh, they lost their starting quarterback in Jamie Newman, and oh no, well, Newman's a guy that came in and actually took over for Sam Hartman, who won the job against Jamie Newman a couple of years ago as a freshman. Started 9 games till he broke his leg, and that's when Newman came on and played so well. He just continued on through last season and allowed Hartman to play those records at 4 games without burning a shirt. And so you've got Hartman coming back, who has proven that he's a starting quarterback in the league, and not only a starting quarterback in this league, he's a quarterback that's proven he can win. And so I think they feel really, really good about Sam Hartman at that spot. Not problem, but the issue now is behind him. You have inexperience. Last couple of years you had Jamie Newman and Sam Hartman. Now you got Hartman at the number 1 spot and inexperience behind him. But one of his targets, Sage Surratt, was having, not just in this league, one of the best seasons of any receiver in the country a year ago until he got hurt. So he's back after surgery. He left Lincolnton High School in North Carolina as the best high school football player in the state and the best high school basketball player in the state. I'm not sure how. Give a tip of the cap to Dave Clawson for getting him to Winston-Salem, but he is back, and he is just, in my 25 years now coming up, this is my 25th year, he's the best athlete I've ever seen at our place at the receiver spot. And so you've got that to build on. And defensively, you've got a guy by the name of Boogie Basham. He's on every award watch list there is in the country, as is Surratt, by the way, at receiver. But Basham's a great rush in. He's going to play on Sunday. And Wake's got a lot of experience, a lot of guys who have played along that defensive front and at linebacker. So I just think, and they got a kicker, by the way, who set the NCAA record last year with 34 straight field goals. So they feel really good, and I think Wake fans feel good about the players Wake has coming back, offense, defense, special teams. And you mentioned Dave Clawson. I just think he is the perfect guy for Wake Forest at this time. I mean, he had himself an academic background, so I think maybe more than a lot of coaches might, Dave gets what it takes to get a kid in that can not only do the academic work, first of all, get in school at Wake, but then stay alive and do the academic work at Wake, and also, play really good football in a league that's getting better and better. So he's had increasingly better recruiting classes since he's been at Wake Forest. I just think, again, he's perfect guy at the perfect time to help the Deacs continue to push forward and build their football program. And I'm glad his name is maybe not on the tip of some tongues of folks looking for coaches, because he'd be hard to replace. I can promise you that.
Well, he's done an excellent job. And speaking of excellent jobs, once again, my captain, Dave Hunziker, our play-by-play voice. I do sidelines with him and John Holcomb is our color analyst on the Cowboy Network. Gave me a great recommendation. It's been great talking to you. Have a great vacation, and let's hope that we're all working this fall. And I know,
Yeah,
I,
absolutely.
I know we want the kids to be safe. I know all that, but for those of us that love what we do, I mean, yeah, I tell the audience this, Stan, and that is that players want to play. Forgive them if they want to rush out there in the middle of a pandemic, but they want to play. Coaches want to coach, and by gosh, broadcasters like to broadcast. So
I
you
don't know.
know,
If we weren't playing games this fall, I'm just like turning around in circles. Like, look, I'm 59 years old. I've been doing this for 40 years. What else the heck am I going to do, right? I mean, what
I'm
am I?
with you.
Am I going to go to the big box store and sell lumber or something? I mean, I could do that, and I would if I had to, but it's not what I want to do. That's a garbage truck behind me. Sorry about that. But
Oh, that's okay.
yeah, I mean, I am so looking forward to the fall. And please tell Dave I said hello. He is a sweetheart of a guy, and him being in Oklahoma and us still way down here in the South, we don't cross paths all that much anymore. But you guys have a great one, as you know, and you guys do a great job. You really do.
No, Dave Hunziker is tremendous and one of the absolute finest people that I know. So, and once again, he was spot on with a recommendation. So, Stan, I appreciate it. Have a great rest of hopefully short summer, and let's all look forward to football. But thanks again.
You bet. Thank you. Anytime.
All right, Stan Cotten, the play-by-play voice of the Demon Deacons.